do you want to negotiate with, and under what conditions, and as well, toward what objective? Those are the primary questions we should ask him. So maybe he has more than he's telling. Maybe he understands the terrain, maybe he understands the people, maybe he has just said this just as a tip of an iceberg. Maybe there's more to what he's about to say or do. But let's maybe further the question to advance the conversation to say, okay, hey, you said you will do this. How do you intend to do this? Do you know if these people have a structure ahead? And so, with whom do you intend to have this conversation, this negotiation that you're claiming? Do you know them before? Have you guys talked before? Do you think they would want to sit at the table with you? Those are the questions. So, but if he knows more, I bet we should follow up with saying, if you know more, tell us more. If it's for the, I mean, it's not even about whether or not you're becoming president or vice president. It's also about the people that you're about to serve. If this administration does not get it well, and you think you know how to speak to those people, you can speak to them on their behalf. Not wait until you become vice president to now start making things, to now start stopping bloodshed. If you can start it now, let's start it. If the administration is ready, I think they are ready to work with anybody that would help them in terms of this insecurity that we face in the country. So if you have more than you're telling, please help the country. Good morning and welcome to Daybreak Live today. I'm An Oluwapo Ido.
And I'm Oluwayemi Adelakun. It's a pleasure to have you with us this morning.
We begin this morning with Daybreak Gist, where we examine Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso's call for dialogue with terrorists as a strategy to end insecurity. With years of military operations yielding mixed results, should negotiation become part of Nigeria's security approach, or does it risk legitimizing criminality? Anyway, we'll also take you through today's newspaper headlines, bringing you the major stories and developments shaping conversations across the country.
Definitely. And on the big story, we take stock of the Tinubu administration as it reaches the halfway point of its first term, from economic reforms and security to infrastructure and governance, as the administration done enough to justify another mandate in 2027. And joining us to dissect the issues is Ignatius Melfino, public affairs analyst.
So stay with us this morning as we unpack the issues driving to this national conversation. Good morning to you, Oluwayemi.
Good morning, Anna.
Yes, on the table of discourse this morning is a topic that, well, depending on whichever side you stand, Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso has called for he said they will call for dialogue with terrorists as a strategy to end insecurity in the country. And just maybe into that too, this has been a case. I was checking through the different conversations about the pros and the cons of this particular statement. Is it going to end insecurity? Is it going to enable criminal elements in the country to want to do more, to have more grounds, to have more say, and a different mix of things, right? But I was checking through different countries and different places where this has happened, and it's quite unfortunate because we have mixed reactions. Because for some places they had negotiations with terrorists, for others they did not have negotiations with terrorists and they still made way. Some had the negotiations with terrorists, it ended well. Some had it didn't end well. And so the case of Nigeria is peculiar, and it's peculiar for certain reasons. I think the places it has worked, according to research as well, we've discovered that they have political objectives, places where the insurgents group have a wish maybe to become president or maybe to have someone at the, all of those kind of negotiations, right? But the case of the Boko Haram, the ISWAP, the Ansaru, and all of the insurgent groups we have in the country, Nigeria, are ideologically motivated. And that's where the problem is. If the ideology is the extreme jihadist ideology that they are trying to push, I'm wondering how a country can negotiate and accept that as one of the status quo of the country, to say, you know what, we agree with what you're saying. So in certain places or in the country, this would not happen. For example, Boko Haram, saying no to Western education. Would you stop education even if you want to, you want peace to reign? I mean, so that those are one of the conversations you might want to put on the front line and the front burner this morning. But, Rabiu Kwankwaso, it's not the first to say this, according to what we also saw Even his running mate also said the same thing some weeks ago, that there's a place for negotiating with terrorists. I think one of the things I'm looking out for come 2027 elections is the presidential debate. We need to know what is in the minds of these people. Everybody's talking about this administration not doing well when it comes to security, but what do you have as a policy, as a strategy, as a policy prescription that you think can help the nation move forward? Now, it's like Rabiu Kwankwaso and Peter Obi have brought their own plans out to say, this is what we want to do. We will also get to talk to all of the bandits groups and all of that and see if we can get to, but that's on the other hand. Some countries of the world would say they don't negotiate with terrorists, and that's one. But if they claim they want to negotiate with terrorists, how well is that going to yield? How positive is that going to yield? Is it going to be for the short term or for the long haul? So those are the questions on the table of discourse. But again, just check it into what he said in context as well. He mentioned something that I think is very valid, and that is there's no insurgent group that does not have a link to somebody in those communities. These people are not angels, except for the ones that are from Chad, that migrated from Chad, from other neighboring countries, Cameroon and all of that. But the ones that started in the country, Nigeria, they had family members, they had friends, they had fathers and mothers who probably know these people. I've spoken with somebody from the north before, and I remember what he said was, they have the list of these people. Some of them have even done it before, and then they've become normal, like they came back and say this is not right, and then they joined the community. So there's no way you want to say these people are they're not part of the society or the community. Some people know them, but the fear is, can they call them out? But again, I think it's also important that we note that there's no insurgent group in this country that does not have a tail to the community, that does not have a link, that does not have a rope that we can trace back. And I'm wondering, maybe until we start, doing the community policing and maybe engaging some other conversations when it comes to internal security, I think that's when we'll make headway. But should we say, because Kwankwaso said this means that he has links to them? Whatever you think, but that's not even my issue. My issue is, if you think that's the only way to make it work, I hope you are right. We pray you are right on this, because if these people are ideologically motivated and not maybe financially driven, there's only so much you can do with negotiation, because these people want a particular thing to happen in the country, especially when it comes to jihadist movement. They want this thing to happen in the country, and if you don't give them, they might not agree to whatever you're bringing on the table. And if you have had that conversation or that negotiation with them, it might also strengthen them, to want to do more. But this is what I think in the country. If this comes to be, if this comes to happen in the country, then we will look out for the possibilities of this becoming something that will eventually bring insecurity down to the minimum.
I think you're very spot on, and let me take it from this angle, because when he said that, a lot of Nigerians did not take that statement, they didn't take it very well. Why? Because a lot of persons feel one thing that has led us to this point is the fact that the government, is always negotiating with those people, paying them ransom, and then that's the reason why we've not been able to end insecurity. Because if you check the last operation, or let me say the last two operations, the government was very firm on the fact that they were not going to negotiate with these people, they were not going to pay ransom. Instead, they kidnapped the family members of those who kidnapped, the Ubiri students and the teachers, in order to say, okay, if at all we want to negotiate, let's negotiate with your people in our custody as well, not just, negotiating with ransom or things like that. And then one more thing that we need to talk about is the fact that these people are not yet in power. They are only trying to contest and win elections. So they need to be very careful with the things that they say. And then I didn't even expect Kwankwaso to say something like that yesterday, because at the end of the day, I think people have been accusing, some northern, past governors of being, part of this whole abduction, banditry, and terrorism, because he's not even the only person. There wasn't even a time that his name came out. I think United States released at least one time, and they said he's part of those that are financing, terrorism in Nigeria. So I think we need to be very careful, not just politicians alone, about the kind of things that we see, especially with somebody like Kwankwaso. your name came out one time that you are part of those financing terrorism, and then you are even contesting for election, come 2027. Because at the end of the day, if you follow the activities of those people in the last few years, you notice that once they kidnap people, the first thing they do is to make sure they move them to an environment, and then they start calling family members, asking for a huge amount of money to say, okay, you pay this, you pay that, you bring this. They even ask for other things beyond money, food stuff, and then quite a number of other things that these people ask for. So it has become an enterprise. And then if care is not taken, apparently it's not working in Nigeria. Negotiating with these people, paying ransom, is not working. It's like we are just trying to make them more powerful, according to the experts, the security experts. So whatever it is that is not working, why continue with it? Whatever it is that is not working, why can there be a process, a review process that can check what we have been doing, how we have been able to tackle these people in the last few years? So at the end of the day, many Nigerians do not believe that negotiating with these people, paying ransom, can solve the problem. Why? Because that is what we have done in the last few years. And then some governors will come out and tell you when they're in the public to say we are not paying them, but then behind the cameras, they pay these people, they negotiate with them, and that's the reason why these people are progressing. Because you begin to wonder, when you check these people, the kind of ammunition that they have, they are not just using pump action. They are using like very expensive guns to actually carry out the operation. That tells you that they are making I don't want to say they are making profit now, because once they kidnap people, the next thing they are thinking is we are demanding huge amount of money from these people, and that's why they've been able to keep up. Because a lot of times when some of them were arrested, you find them with huge cash, in millions, and then you begin to wonder, how are they getting? How come they have this kind of amount with them? It's because these people pay them, and then it's a problem, and that's why we've not been able to solve insecurity. So the reason why the last operation was successful, I'm talking about the security operatives in Nigeria, is because they said no. At this point, we are not trying to negotiate. We are not trying to pay any money to you people. And because even these people were asking for too much, beyond money, they were asking for other things that the government was not ready to give to them. And then Kwankwaso said something that I think I like. He said he wants to make sure that they talk to people. And I think he also mentioned that people are afraid of talking to security operatives about the things that they notice, because it didn't head well for them. I remember the sister of a popular minister in this country was kidnapped in Ibadan, and then somebody tried to make a video about it, and people were scared for the life of that man, because they said in a country like this, these people at the end of the day might be looking for you, because you recorded a video, posted it online, it went viral and things like that. So people know a lot, just like you said. People know these people, but then they are afraid of talking, they are afraid of saying anything. And then even people who have been able to develop the courage to speak to security operatives, it didn't end well. We've seen a case whereby some persons were arrested because the neighbors reported them, and at the end of the day, before the close of the day, they were released. So what do you make of that? These are the issues. So speaking to the people, or giving them orientation about the fact that when you see something, you say something. Do not be afraid of your own life, because the security is there, or the security operatives are there to protect you. And I think that is very profound. So on that note, I think I agree with him, because people are afraid of talking. People are afraid of saying what they know, saying what they see, especially because you cannot commit crimes and you want to tell me that one or two persons are not aware of how it started. I remember the last abduction that happened, I think recently in the last few weeks. They said that when these people got to that community, they saw that people were many, they were outside, and so they fled, and they came back. So it tells us that people they know about the activities of those people, and until the people are ready to actually assist the security operatives, we might not achieve much. And then we have said it over time that paying ransom, negotiating with these people has not produced so much results. So then it's time to go back to the drawing board and then ask ourselves honest questions. Are we still going to continue with paying ransom? Are we still going to continue with negotiating with these people? Really,
I think valid points you've really addressed in this conversation. But just to add up to one of the things we've said is that if Rabiu Kwankwaso has said this, I hope there will be what they call follow-up questions to this. That's what I'm looking for the debate to happen. If you name this as one of the strategies you're bringing on board as a government to end insecurity in the country, then we should probably ask you a question, central questions like, who do you want to negotiate with, and under what conditions? And as well, toward what objective? Those are the primary questions we should ask him. So maybe he has more than he's telling. Maybe he understands the terrain. Maybe he understands the people. Maybe he has just said this just as a tip of an iceberg. Maybe there's more to what he's about to say or do. But let's maybe further the question to advance the conversation to say, okay, hey, you said you will do this. How do you intend to do this? Do you know if these people have a structural head? Because we've heard of cases where the Nigerian military has been successfully able to decapitate these terrorist groups, especially with their leaders. They've been able to bring down their leaders and their top-ranking people. And so, with whom do you intend to have this conversation, this negotiation that you're claiming? Do you know them before? Have you guys talked before? Do you think they would want to sit at the table with you? Those are the questions. So, but if he knows more, I bet we should follow up with saying, if you know more, tell us more. If it's for the, I mean, it's not even about whether or not you're becoming president or vice president. It's also about the people that you're about to serve. If this administration does not get it well, and you think you know how to speak to those people, you can speak to them on their behalf. Not wait until you become vice president to now start making things, now start stopping bloodshed. If you can start it now, let's start it. If the administration is ready, I think they are ready to work with anybody that would help them in terms of this insecurity that we face in the country. So if you have more than you're telling, please help the country. Forget the leadership, forget the opposition that you're fighting. It's okay, but think about the people, right? There are a lot of people that are dying every day. They have people dying, being killed, families, children, all of that being kidnapped all day long. And if you have a solution, please put it forward. Don't just wait till you become vice president, because who knows, maybe you might never even become vice president in 2027 elections. But do you have the solution? Please help us with the solution.
Okay, I think that's a good point as well, because at the end of the day, when people contest for elections, there can only be one winner. There can only be one president in Asuruk, and there can only be one vice president. But beyond that, I think, being accountable to the people, let me say patriotism to your country is more important than any post, is more important than any position in Nigeria. And I think that's very spot on, and it's a fine place to leave that discussion this morning. We take a short break, and when we come back, we move on to newspaper headlines and analysis. We'll be right back.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast, and on X at Dominion Cast. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB Van difference. Live,